England have walked across the border, left all their extra baggage at immigration. They saw those bags titled maturity and intent, and they've applied that in today's innings. A mammoth 351 put on by England, a very, very mature knock, just like what we're used to seeing in ODI cricket. Ben Duckett getting a big 165, Joe Root getting 68. Well, we are back at Cricbuzz Live. We've got Zach on the big screen and Joyda with us. Zach, big score. This is something you spoke about all through the India-England series as well, that you just want them to play sensible cricket, and they've heard you finally.
Well, someone from the top order going on to get a big 100. That's the template you've seen. It's a combination of being sensible, maybe having clarity around the options which you're going to choose, and there was no rush or no over-aggression. As you go along, you are set, then you are upping the ante. That is something which you've seen in this format. A lot of batters, a lot of seasoned batters do, a lot of the top order batters for sure, and that's what Ben Duckett was able to do today. Root very nicely build that partnership with him, and you've seen the result. And this is what was missing. So I think somehow England have figured, or maybe we've been talking about, are they taking the lessons and are they taking the notes and looking to maybe fine tune a little? Looks like they are on the right track that way.
Well, Joyda, they sure have taken down all the notes, because they've just shown that intent of being patient, being aggressive when it was needed, and just playing risk-free, intelligent cricket.
Absolutely. And again, what did they do? All the partnership, all the matches that you've seen where a team has scored 300, you'll see at least one daddy partnership, 100-plus partnership, and at least one big 50-part partnership. Again, they did just that. They had Root and upfront, Root and Duckett giving them that big 158-run partnership. Then towards the end, you had Josh Buttler coming in with Duckett and giving him time, scoring pretty fast together. So two big partnerships and lots of small contributions along the way. And I think this is the template for what England used to do in their heyday. When they were at the top of their form, 2016, 17, 18, 19, that period, this is how England would play their cricket.
And this is something we spoke about in the pre-match show as well, is that what England was missing was that top order, someone going on to convert those starts. And well, more than half the runs have been got by this beautiful knock by Ben Duckett. Joyda, everything he did was correct, exactly what it should be in the cricket textbooks, because he started slow, played in the V, no risky shots, and then later, of course, was extremely aggressive. But just have a look at that V and the runs he's got there.
No, I think he was absolutely brilliant today. I think the interesting thing for me, though, is that the number of shots that he hit. Two things that he did very interestingly. One is his ability to be able to hit, as they say, in the V up front. That's very, very important. That's very interesting. The other is the number of times that he employed the reverse sweep.
And he much later in the innings.
Yes, he employed it later, but he employed it so effectively that in the last 5 overs, he used the reverse sweep against Ben Dwarshuis. Against a fast bowler, he went and used the reverse sweep and didn't connect properly. And he was saying, then you can make out two things. One is that, he had a game plan. He knew that area would be empty. The second is, how big is he seeing the ball at that point in time? When you try and reverse sweep a fast bowler when the ball is coming into your body, it tells you that you are so confident that, your ability to sight the ball and hit the ball. So he had an absolutely fantastic innings. And I want to go back a little bit. Ben Duckett, where does he start his career? He starts his career in 2016. Okay, 2016 he comes. He plays 3 one-day internationals in 2016, and then there's Alex Hales comes in, David Malan comes in, so many other openers come in. David Bairstow, Johnny Bairstow plays up front, and he's no longer there. And then the next time you see him is 2023 in ODI cricket. So he's had a long time where he reached somewhere, got into the team, and a little bit like Matthew Hayden, just after that was completely out. Now he's made a comeback, and look how well he's playing. In the last 6 months, he's been playing amazing cricket for them.
And it's interesting you say that, because he came back in 2023, but he was made the opener just in September 24, Zach. And he has grabbed that opportunity with both his hands. And I think he wants to cement his place as an opener. Just have a look at those numbers as an opener.
Well, he's naturally aggressive batter, and he's one of the players in that England side who is capable of playing spin also well. uses reverse sweep very well. The power play restrictions do allow him to get into his innings nicely. That the balance of aggression, over aggression, and kind of maintaining that tempo is something which I'm sure the discussion must have happened in that group for sure. There's enough evident from today's approach of England that none of the batters were really trying to be over aggressive. So Ben Duckett capitalizing on the start which he got, and what I was impressed by, predominantly he's square of the wicket player. If you look at the way his technique is, the way he approaches his batting, but in today's innings, he was actually giving equal importance to mid-on, mid-off as well. So looking to hit down the ground rather than just banking on the square of the wicket play, which did come into a good effect as he built his innings. But his predominantly focus was to be able to hit the ball back to the bowler.
And also that big partnership, you spoke about daddy partnerships, that partnership with Joe Root, 158 runs that they put on. Again, Ben Duckett and Joe Root playing an innings that Joe Root usually plays, the 68 of 78. He was stabilizing the ship, but just rotating the strike so beautifully.
Absolutely. And if you look at the scoreboard, there's a number of fours and sixes hit. It's amazing how little they hit. I mean, and Joe Root in his first part in his 50 had only 3 fours. And it tells you how fast, how well he's rotating the strike, how he's playing all around the wicket. And he's stabilizing. See, at that time, they were scoring at 7.2. And he knew that, after the 13th, 14th over, spin will come and the, field will go out. The scoring will drop. But what they did very well was they didn't allow it to precipitously drop. So it dropped. It dropped from 7.2, 7.3, but it went to 6.4, 6.5, 6.3. So they managed to have that threshold. They never dropped below 6 and over. And I think that's extremely important. So that 158-run partnership, that is the base you see. 5.9 they scored in that period, but because they had 7.3 before that, it didn't make a difference. And you see that again, 6.8, 6.8, and right at the end, 8.3. So this is a textbook way of how to play the game. Had they not lost a couple of, had Buttler not got out, had Livingston not got out, this 351 could have been a 370 also. They were Australia was actually lucky that they managed to get a couple of vital wickets at that point in time and probably saved themselves 15, 20 runs in the chase.
But Zach, just a word on Root, because in his 68, he's just hit 4 fours. We spoke about how he rotated his strike, but again, you expect this of Root because this is what they want him to do in 50-over cricket.
Well, that's the reason he's there. I mean, it's as simple as that. He's been doing it over the years so consistently. And when you're having a lot of players who are looking to be aggressive around him, it really has a good impact. I think if you look at today's England innings, that's the template if they are able to achieve. Because if you're going from over number 11 to over number 40 at anything in excess of over 6 runs per over, that's a damn good rate of scoring. So that is something which if you are able to do it consistently, you will see these scores regularly. And that is the discussion they should be having. That is what good teams have been doing. You look at the teams who have scored over 300 runs consistently at this level. You will see that typical approach of setting that tempo in the middle overs, not losing too many wickets, and then really going hard at the back end. And to be able to do that, you need someone like Root, who is able to negate the risk options and yet keep the tempo going. And you have a set batter at the other end, who is the aggressor in that partnership, who is willing to take the risk options. And when he's having a good day, you will see that run rate is easily over 6 runs per over. So that's something which should be the plan. And what you saw today was just an example of that. Now, the question for England is, how can you do it consistently?
Yeah, but Joyda, we spoke about it in the pre-match show. What did help was also a really lovely flat track for them. Absolutely no assistance for the bowlers and a very, very inexperienced Aussie bowling lineup.
Yeah, I mean, placid track and reasonably, as you could say, my 93-year uncle has more teeth than that attack, as I said. It's a bit of a toothless attack. It just doesn't seem to have that bite. And even when Zampa was coming in, this pitch didn't allow him to bowl at his best. Zampa is a very good bowler when he gets a little bit of assistance. This pitch gave him zero assistance. So what he could do is, keep his line and length, and he's smart enough to get a couple of wickets. But he wasn't at, Zampa with a little bit of help is a very, very tricky customer. And I think today they found it easier to negotiate him. I mean, he got a fortunate decision also. I mean, that route decision could have gone either way. It was an umpire's call. He got one fortunate decision, but still he bowled well within the limitations that that track allowed him. And I think that's the problem. The rest of the bowlers, they tried very gamely, but they just don't have that experience. And I mean, just a simple thing. Let me tell you one simple thing. What are the odds with this Australian team that you'll ever see Labuschagne being thrown the ball for the last over? He's bowled 3 of the last 10 overs. Okay. So who bowled in the last 10 overs? Zampa bowled a bit, Labuschagne bowled a bit, Dwarshuis bowled a bit. I mean, these are the bowlers, and Nathan Ellis bowled a couple of overs. But that's what I'm saying. Labuschagne being thrown the ball in the 50th over is something that you cannot imagine with the Australian sides that we have seen in the last 5 years.
Zach, they've used 7 bowlers today because they've tried everything, pretty much everything that they could. And of course, the pitch didn't help them at all. But this bowling card is not something you're used to seeing Australia with.
I mean, that was going to be the case when your main bowlers are not playing the tournament. Then you got to go for the relatively inexperienced bowlers, and at times you are put in these situations where they also feel the pressure. You're looking for the guys who are going to step up to the occasion. Looking at the pitch, Lahore pitch on a day like this, it's not easy for any bowler to just come and make an impact. So you got to be able to take those things, those factors into consideration, which even Australian team has. So I think to a certain degree they were prepared to go and have the target of 300 plus, maybe 20-25 runs extra, which they will be discussing at this stage in the break. That we always wanted to catch the game with the bat. So bowlers, yes, they had a tough day, but there was that inexperience which everyone were aware of. England team were able to take the advantage of that inexperience in Australian bowling lineup.
Also, Joyda, could Steve Smith have done anything differently? Because the first change came in the 7th over. By the 22nd over, he'd used 6 bowlers. And by the 25th over, he'd used 7 bowlers. Could he have done anything differently?
Look, I think he was just looking around and tossing the ball to whoever, because none of the bowlers looked as if they were making an impact. And I think that is the single biggest problem that he have. I mean, and remember one thing, because you haven't played that much international cricket and these kids haven't played, he didn't have a very clear template of who his finishing bowlers were. So, Spencer ended up having 3 overs remaining. So he was not at all used in the last 10 overs at all. So there are situations where you look at that and say that, you could have at least, he's a left-arm bowler, he's a competent opening bowler, plays a lot of T20 cricket, therefore has variation. For him not to be given a single over in the last 10 is something that you look at and you wonder that perhaps, I would have thrown the ball to him at least 1 over. If he had got smashed for 20, I would have gone. So I think there are a few things there that, I think Steve Smith was looking around to see who he could. And secondly, with 2 right-hand batsmen batting in the crease, with the Jofra Archer, off-spinner is perhaps not your best option, And those are the kind of things that you'll be looking at and wondering, could he have done better on those decisions? Of course, again, he's captaining this team after a long time and, But I can at least say, I wouldn't use the word puzzling, but perhaps the captaincy wasn't particularly inspiring. There's nothing I could see and say, wow, that was interesting, that was well done.
Well, the last time he captained was way back in 2017. So maybe he's in an ICC event. So maybe he's going to take a little time to get into it as well. But Zach, something I noticed was Nathan Ellis was bowling a little differently from the rest. He was using the slower ball much more. He was trying to bowl much shorter. Do you think that's a trick?
Yeah, the wicket column is not showing how good he has bowled on this surface, looking at the way England batters were going. He used his variations to perfection. He was right with the approach and the options which he was taking. In any other given day, you will see a different kind of numbers in that wicket column, and suddenly you feel that, oh, what a day he's had. But I think given the conditions, given the day, he was pick of the Australian bowlers.
And Joda, interestingly, Joe Root said that it was a slow wicket, it kept low, and we gave ourselves a good opportunity to get a score. So it didn't look like it was very slow and keeping low with the number of runs they were getting, but this is what Joe Root had to say.
No, but he's right. If you look at the Duckett dismissal carefully, Duckett actually was trying again to sweep, this time sweep, not reverse sweep, and the ball stayed about at least 6 to 7 inches lower than he thought the ball would stay. So this pitch obviously is playing low and lower, okay, and as the game got on, it got more and more difficult for stroke play. And I think, to be honest with you, I think 350 is a great score on this pitch. Not because that the pitch has many devils in it, but it's a difficult pitch. If you take pace off the ball, like Nathan Ellis did, I thought he bowled really well exactly. I think he got the template right. He just didn't have the luck on his side, which happens on one of those days. But I think this is a fairly formidable score out here. If the England bowlers bowl well, look, up front they'll bowl fast. If you have Mark Wood and Jofra Archer, you will. But once they see that the pitch is, easing out, variation is the key out here, and I'll be very interested in seeing how England exploits the conditions there.
Well, I'm sure England will learn a trick from what Australia has done. That bowling card is not a bowling card Australia will be happy looking at, but something that did come to their rescue was their fielding, Zach, because they were exceptional in the field. We saw Alex Carey not behind the wicket, but pretty much catching everything that came to him and things that were not coming to him either.
Yeah, I mean, that's the non-negotiable when it comes to international cricket these days. Teams like to put in that much of time and energy in making sure that that you are there with the fielding effort. So that goes without saying. Over the years, we've seen Australian team has been brilliant with putting that kind of effort and energy in fielding. So today was one of the better days for them.
Joyda, which one surprised you more? Root getting dropped by Smith or that blinder of Phil Salt that Alex Carey got?
Yeah, I mean, no, it has to be the Root Smith thing because if it dropped, firstly, the first thing they did, and of course, I mean, telecast guys are also smart. The first thing they showed after that is the lights.
Yes.
And the fact that lights are not on. And it dropped exactly 1.5 feet away from him. So some angle he must have looked at, immediately got blinded, and then after that he didn't see anything at all. Therefore, So it's one of those things that happen. And because the Australians hold themselves to such a high standard, you expect them to take spectacular catches. You don't expect them to drop or miss sitters. And what you never see in Australian team is people not attempting it. So clearly he must have been totally blindsided for some reason. He didn't see anything.
Wasn't that of the free hit?
Was it?
No.
I'm not sure if it's of the free hit, but he just looked as if he didn't see the ball at all.
That was Zampa, right?
That
was
was
Zampa on the boundary line.
Yeah, I think Zampa was of the free hit, yeah.
But Zach, 350 has never really been chased in a Champions Trophy. So Australia have got their work cut out for them. We spoke about Smith and how his captaincy hasn't been, inspiring, like Joyda said. So he will want to come out and inspire with the bat. His records haven't been very Smith-like in the past. 27 innings, he's not got a century. So lots for him to prove.
I think it's the beginning of the game. We did touch upon this fact that how Australia is trying to approach this game tactically. And when we were trying to decode that, one thing was very evident that they want to catch the game with the bat. That's why they decided to bowl first. Now, if you're looking at the score, yes, maybe they were expecting 290, 300, 310. That is something which was their comfort zone. England definitely have pushed them beyond that. 350 is a damn good total on this surface. It's not going to be an easy run chase, but it's just about two batters getting in. And that is something which Australia will be talking about right now. Someone like Travis Head needs to be out there maybe for 15, 20 overs. And we all know what kind of damage he can do if he's around for that long a time there on the pitch. Other than that, I think, Labuschagne and Smith are going to have that responsibility of what we've seen from Root, just to keep that scoreboard ticking in those middle overs and set that platform for the back 10. If they have 80 runs, 90 runs to get off last 10, with maybe 5 wickets in hand, they will fancy their chances for sure.
Well, Joyda, Gilly and Ponting, both of them said that Smith should open. We've spoken about that anchor's role and also maybe the best format for someone like Smith to get into form as well and, get some big runs under his belt.
Yeah, actually, that's what I'm saying, that he can impact the game most as an opener. And I think, but the difference is that this is a relatively experienced Australian batting side as compared to their bowling. You know, even the batting, they're missing players. It's not that they're missing. Warner's gone now. Mitch Marsh, Warner, two big boys not there. And then you have a situation where even somebody, who's announced his retirement from the game itself. Stoinis has announced his retirement from the game as well. So you're missing three guys.
Correct.
But you still have quite a bit of experience. I mean, Alex Carey's played quite a lot. Labuschagne has played. Smith has played. And, you know, Travis Head, I don't even want to talk about it. You have Maxi after that. Josh Inglis. This is a decent batting side. This is a very decent batting side. But I tend to agree, I would have liked to see Smith up front. Also, Australians are very big on sending a message to their team. That, you know what, I'm going to take it up myself. So Head and me are going to go out there and impose ourselves in the opposition. Because England's the biggest danger you're going to get from England is those first 5-6 overs. You know, which if they go with both Wood and Archer starting, that's a pretty decent combination of fast bowling to, you know, start up with.
You know, you spoke about Australia wanting to send across a message, but Steve Smith said something which I'd like to read out to you all. He said that, you know, one day I might play at 3, one day I might play at 4. We'll see. It might change from batting first to second as well. And you might play a huge factor in the back end of the second innings. Whether we want to load up in the back end is a little bit more for us to see. Zach, are you a little surprised with keeping it vague, or you think it's a very Australian thing to not give out their plans?
No, I think it's just about having that flexibility. You know, we've seen everyone is talking about that. So you got to what T20 cricket has brought in ODI format is this the phase approach, and that is something which every team is trying to achieve. So I'm not surprised by that. You know, it's pretty much a tactical thing, pretty much comfort of how the team management is looking at and how you're trying to set the game up. So it's a very team-based decision, I would say.
Yes, Jed.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, I'm saying if he's saying I want to load up a bit more, means that I'm prepared to allow the run rate to go slightly lower, but have more wickets in hand at the back. If that is the approach they want, then Steve Smith should probably open. If you look at it, if that's the way, then you don't want two openers to go hell for leather. You want one opener to go for it, the other opener to sort of be around, you know, play the strike around. Loading up means soaking in the pressure and saying, okay, I'm okay with 8, 9, 10 in the last 10, 15 overs as long as I have wickets in hand. I'm keeping those wickets in hand, so really hitting at the end. When the dude takes, you know, allows the spinners out of form, they can't do anything. Last 15 is where I'm going to change the game, impact the game. So it'll be interesting.
You know, you've been talking so much about the openers. Something that England also would be a little worried about is, Zach, you think Archer, ever since he's come back from his injury, he's not been his penetrative self. Like he used to be this really lethal bowler in the opening spell, which we haven't really seen. The numbers here do the talking. Ever since he's come back, he's been a shadow of himself.
Well, but that's expected as well, that he himself must be aware of. What he needs is more and more bowling. What we've seen so far from Archer and how one should judge Archer right now, since he was away from the game for so long and not only battling one injury but series of them. So when you're going through that kind of phase, the comeback also at times for your peak fitness or peak rhythm might be longer. But his graph has been going upwards steadily. So that is the positive out of the whole thing. The numbers, they will stack up as he bowls more and more. It's about, you know, getting through that one full season of cricket. You know, that is something which is going to be a big achievement for him at this stage. All the support system around him also must be wanting him to achieve that. So his goal right now, the performance, yes, it's an important factor. But what is more important for him is to get through a lot of games and possibly get through a season without having to sit out because of the injury. And then build it from there is something which I'm expecting, which he will, because he's a world-class bowler. It's just about getting things together. It's just about getting those numbers up in terms of repetitions, in terms of bowling that many overs, and things will ease out.
Look, I think also with Jofra, England want him to play Test cricket. England want him to play against India in this summer. Okay, I think he realizes that his future and his financial future is possibly better answered with the white ball cricket. So I think they're looking in different directions, and I think if he gets into rhythm, he's a very, very, as Zaheer said, one of the best bowlers ever.
Very much like Shami, like what we were talking about.
Yeah, very much like Shami. And, I think, look, again, we are saying he's out of rhythm. He was bowling at 145, 146, in the ODIs in India. So it's not as if he's not got pace. The first couple of overs, he still has that pace. It drops off a bit faster than it used to. But now he still has that ability of pace and, that bounce that he gets. So he's a pretty formidable bowler still. Perhaps he doesn't do it for as long and as concerted a period as he did before. But I think he's a game-changing bowler still. And I just hope that this is the tournament where he and Wood, they haven't bowled together in a long time. Them bowling together hopefully will make a difference.
Well, it's not only Archer's
And also
rhythm.
yes. Also, what you're not seeing from Jofra Archer right now at this level is that freedom of expressing himself. So you can always get that feeling that, okay, he's just trying to land the ball in the right length.
Yeah.
He's holding himself back a little bit. When you don't have any other doubts about your rhythm, about your body, about any of the niggles or injuries, you suddenly see that just free flow of the rhythm and a bowler bowling deliveries without really thinking about anything else. So that makes a huge difference. I think right now he's going through that phase where he's bowling, but he's not having that freedom of just going and running freely and bowling the delivery and not really thinking about what's going to happen. Just thinking about how to analyze the batter, what's his weaknesses, where should I get the ball. Those are secondary aspects right now for him. The first and primary focus is to make sure, okay, that, be within the channel and not really look to drift apart.
Well, right now, who needs their rhythm back very quickly is us in the English studio. We're getting it drastically wrong. The Hindi studio is really, really killing it with the prediction score. So, Joyda, go first. Power play score.
I'm going to go high because, if Australia has to have any chance, they have to go high. 76.
Zach, for you?
I'm going with 68.
68, 76, and I will go with 72. We'll wait and watch and see and keep our fingers crossed that at least one of us gets it right, because we've been miserably bad with the prediction score up here in the English studio. We'll give you all the updates at the 15th of a point at the Cricbuzz com box. We'll catch you all there.